Hi, and welcome to our video presentation about the Human Genome Project. Today, we are going to take you through a recent study on human diversity and share with you what the researchers found about our human history. Think of human diversity as a pizza. To understand human diversity fully and see the whole picture, scientists need the full pizza. That is, they need to have data on all populations present and previous in our world, or as close to as possible. Before this study was done, and still to this day, the study with the largest number of genome samples was the 1,000 Genome Project, which, as the name suggests, studied 1,000 genomes. Here is where the pizza comes back. The 1,000 Genome Project only sampled 26 populations in these 5 areas of ancestry. This poses a problem where they are thereby ignoring small populations which are important to world diversity. Those researchers cover only a couple of slices of the pizza. They had a lot of samples, but not enough populations to cover global human diversity. In the present study, the researchers sampled 300 genomes, so much less than 1,000 by a great deal, but they obtained their samples from 142 populations. So back to the pizza. The present study is able to cover more of the whole pizza. By the same idea, they cover more of the whole world, and their samples are much more diverse. Those small populations that were ignored in the 1,000 Genomes Project are now better represented. This means that they found a more accurate and holistic way to represent total human diversity in our world. These researchers went through a lot of work to find out when the populations that they studied diverged from each other. On their first figure in their paper, they provide a tree with 122 populations and how they are all related. This tree is the type of phylogenetic tree we learned in the first module, where you can recognize common ancestors and relations between groups. If we zoom into a small part of this very large tree, we can examine a small example of their work. Here, they have said that the Finnish and Russians have a more recent common ancestor than, say, the Finnish and English, or the Russians and Estonians. What is also being said is that all 5 of these have a common ancestor more recent than with them and any other population on their tree. This work is important because now we see the divergence history of all these populations. This can be used to explain when events in history could have taken place and when these populations may have interacted. They conclude their paper by presenting their results as evidence that, in contrast with what has been thought and modeled, mutations do not hold the responsibility for the swift changes over the past 50,000 years in human behavior. Instead, the researchers believe that lifestyle changes, not mutations, are responsible for those changes. These behavioral changes come from the populations undergoing cultural innovations and/or changes in environments. Events like these can impact the way populations survive and thrive, therefore impacting the way they behave. One last important point. The previous studies have left open the possibility that native Australians, New Guineas, and Andamanese have originated from an earlier wave of human migration out of Africa than the rest of non-African populations. But this study shows that it's most likely that these populations also descended from the same wave as the rest of the non-African populations.
When the moon hits your eye like a big pizza pie, that's amore.